Hello everyone, I'm here today to share with you the ban updates that will affect the upcoming 3-card blind tournament in September. As a reminder, the community voted on 6 cards to determine whether they wanted to see those cards added to the ban list or remain legal in the format. For each card, players could vote for +2, +1, 0, -1, or -2, where a positive number indicated that you would like the card to remain legal, and a negative number indicated that you would like the card to be banned. In the interest of getting you this information as early in the video as possible, I'm going to start by letting you know that Channel and Dark Depths did not receive bans, while Black Lotus, Blackmail, Balance, and Death Shadow are added to the ban list. Let's start by taking a peek at Channel, which had an average opinion of 0.28, and you can see by looking at the graph here that the bulk of those opinions centered around a 1 and a 0, which indicates to me that people didn't have particularly strong opinions on this card at the moment, but were leaning towards leaving the card legal, possibly just to see how the card evolves over time. The next card we're going to look at is Dark Depths, which had an average opinion of 0.21, and you can see from the graph that there wasn't as strong of a consensus one way or another as to whether Dark Depths should remain legal or not. You can see that there's spikes at 2, 0, and -2, which means that there's a very wide variety of opinions on this card. And it's going to remain legal, and I suspect it's going to continue to be a card that people will need to plan around as one of the remaining all-stars of the format. Alright, let's jump into the cards that actually did get banned, beginning with the card that is on the top of everybody's mind, which is Black Lotus. Black Lotus had an average opinion of -0.03, which is the closest we've ever seen a vote come before. If you look at the graph here, the difference between Black Lotus remaining legal and being banned really came down to a single vote out of 78 voters, which is very remarkable. Another noteworthy element here is that you can see that there's really a chasm in between the two types of opinions that people had. People either felt very strongly that the card should remain legal or very strongly that the card should be banned. No matter which direction you swayed on this vote, Black Lotus is undeniably a card that has shaped the format, and its exiting the format is going to completely turn the meta upside down in terms of what sorts of decks that we see. I do want to punctuate this conversation by letting everyone know that the ban list is intended for cards to come on and off at a somewhat regular cadence. Black Lotus will not be on the ban list forever. It will be banned during September and October, but depending on how our patrons vote, the card may become legal for play again in November. Let's jump to a card that's on the opposite end of the spectrum in terms of how controversial it was. Blackmail had a whopping -1.56 average opinion on the card, which by far makes it the card that has most strongly been in favor of a ban by the community to date. I'm sure this comes as a surprise to no one because Blackmail was very strong, not very exciting to see in your opponent's deck, and also reduced deck building creativity by preventing players from having reason to look at other 1 black mana discard effects. I speak on behalf of the majority of the community here, but good riddance. The next card we're going to look at is Balance, which had an average opinion of -0.76, and with the exception of a few dedicated holdouts, fans of Balance, most players seem to think that the card should be banned, which is not surprising because the type of deck that plays Balance punishes the overwhelming majority of other decks that people have the opportunity to play. The last card on our list is Death Shadow, which received an average opinion of -0.17, making it a somewhat close call as to whether the card got banned or not. This isn't too much of a shocker either, because the main reason that the card was on the list in the first place was not due to balance concerns. Don't get me wrong, Death Shadow is one of the strongest cards in the format, but the main reason it was on the list is because of the amount of burden it causes in terms of processing match outcomes. I am relieved that the card got banned, but I do think that at some point it deserves to be unbanned. hopefully when the community has a greater number of resources to dedicate to making those matches a little easier to process. The last major announcement I'd like to make in this video is that 3 cards were up for unban possibility this month as determined by our patrons, and those 3 cards were Strip Mine, Jace Wielder of Mysteries, and Chancellor of the Annex. I suspect many of you will feel relieved when you hear that none of these 3 cards have been unbanned. Now, before you jump into brewing for September, I do want to make sure that everyone is aware that the Wilds of Eldraine pre-release is on September 1st, and for that reason, we've decided to make the Wilds of Eldraine set legal during September, so please factor that into your decisions as you build your decks. With all of that having been covered, I wanted to let everyone know that deck submission for September will open up on September 1st and run until September 7th. I will be accepting roughly 100 players into the tournament, so be sure to have your deck ready to submit at the earliest time you can. And until then, see you soon.